Step 11. Quabbalistic use of divine names and beings. After describing the keys, their equivalents and analogies, I am now going to introduce the Quabbalist, with the deepening of his spirit in mind, to one of the most profound secrets of the QUABBALAH, the Quabbalistic use of divine names and beings. Before going into details, the Quabbalist must be aware of the great Quabbalistic principle, namely that powers, such as, for instance, the elements, the electromagnetic fluid, and to some extent even the Akasa principle, are to be valued as quantities that must not be confused with qualities. Everything representing a power exists, however, materially, although it might have a most subtle form, and must therefore be regarded as matter. Mights, virtues, characteristics, abilities are thus qualities and are not to be confused with powers. The Quabbalist must know this difference well if he does not want to make mistakes, which, unfortunately, is often the case with many students of the QUABBALAH. Therefore, this basic principle should never be confounded in the Quabbalistic use of letters. If any type of quantity, that is, power, no matter whether of elements or fluids, is under discussion, it is always some kind of matter that is meant by this. When working with formulas, this principle is of great significance, and it is always a different thing whether a power is being used, increased or transferred into the Akasa principle, in the mental, astral or physical, be it in the form of volts or by oscillations, etc., or whether the same powers are embodied into the mental, astral or material bodies of oneself or of other people. Mights of various kinds, virtues, qualities and abilities, whether used in the Akasa principle, the mental, astral or material world, may function without the condensation of power or matter, that is, they may unconsciously become quantities. If this is the case, the increased capacities tend to be somehow realized, thereby quite automatically employing a certain quantity of their analogous power. This procedure always takes place at the cost of the relevant vitality of the mental, astral or material body, sometimes even at the cost of the fate. Most religious systems, and usually also the so-called systems of initiation, disregard this principle and mostly deal with virtues, characteristics or abilities without making use of the analogous substance of quantity, that is, the power substance, the substance of life, of the virtue or ability to be increased. This great fundamental mistake naturally causes bad after-effects, sometimes serious disharmonies, failures, fiascos, or even various disturbances in one's health, which again may lead to various pathological states. Thus, if a Quabbalist increases one or several faculties in his mental, astral or physical body, either by QUABBALAH or by some kind of magic operation like, for instance, by rituals, suggestion, influencing the unconscious, without charging the relevant faculties with the necessary power, radiation of power, that will, sooner or later, naturally lead to failures or other undesirable influences. Quite often various kinds of concomitant phenomena, experiences, such as visions, hallucinations, ecstatic raptures, ASO, are recorded, and erroneously interpreted as certain grades of maturity in one's personal development. In many lodges of initiates who actually only achieve an increase in certain virtues regardless of the system on which this is based. That this attitude is wrong will at once be clear to the genuine Quabbalist who knows, master and considers the universal laws and is able to apply them correctly. Any practical application of Quabbalistic formula magic must be carried through qualitatively as well as quantitatively in order to avoid one-sidedness. A small example may contribute to demonstrating the difference between quality and quantity. A strong, muscular type of man need not always have the qualities corresponding to his strength, muscular power, and, vice versa, a lean man who is quite capable of taking up any of the positions, asanas, of the greatest yogis need not necessarily have their abilities. This example may suffice to illustrate that abilities must not be confused with powers. Therefore, the Quabbalist has been taught in the preceding steps how to apply the letter analogies, formulas, qualitatively as well as quantitatively. The preparatory exercises described in my first book, Initiation into Hermetics, have taught him the art of concentration, that is, of condensation, apart from the art of accumulating powers quantitatively, and, after having learned to master them, the art of their later qualitative alignment. This little deviation has been very important, since the true Quabbalist works qualitatively as well as quantitatively. All divine names, all recorded names of angels, archangels, principles, genii, etc., have a quantitative power and a qualitative might, personal qualities, abilities, virtues, etc. Providing they have been gained in a truly Quabbalistic way, that is, by tradition or personal practical experience. These principles must always be adhered to also in the Quabbalistic use of divine names, if the Quabbalist does not want to make the same mistake as do many others, namely, to imagine the divine name, name of an angel, genius, etc., to be a personified spiritual being equipped with the abilities, spheres of operation, etc., assigned to it. It is, however, customary to imagine that the total complex of a certain formula, that is, a certain number of letters, represents a personified spiritual being, which is certainly right from the magic point of view, since the total complex of powers and abilities is analogous to a certain form and is thus identified with a personified being, for otherwise a being could not be represented. For something that has no shape, no power, or ability, does not exist in the whole creation. However, the Quabbalist also knows that the combined letters representing a being are, at the same time, a Quabbalistic formula having an analogous connection to powers and qualities or describing the relevant personified being respectively. The practical Quabbalist must take this into consideration, for a magician calling forth a being evokes the total complex, that is, the total form representing the relevant powers and abilities, that is, quantities as well as qualities, as such. Therefore, the conjuring magician evokes the spiritual being with its full name, total complex, quantitatively and qualitatively, which then appears externally in its respective qualities and quantities. I already mentioned in my second book, The Practice of Magical Evocation, in which I describe the qualities of the individual beings that they appear symbolically in accordance with their qualities. Therefore exist the different forms of beings, because they are analogous to the different qualities. A magician and Quabbalist knowing the universal laws and their analogies may at once determine the analogies, the symbolic expression, of the being on account of its appearance. This is also the reason why, for instance, a being of Venus that has the analogies equivalent to Venus is not able to assume the symbolic appearance of a being of Saturn. If, therefore, the Quabbalist wants to work with divine names Quabbalistically, that is, to make the analogous powers and virtues of the same qualitatively and quantitatively his own, he will not choose the whole name at once, for this would mean evoking the total key, the whole being, but he will make use of the name, as a total complex, letter by letter. If, for instance, he were to choose the name of the angel Gabriel, which is in general use, he will not invoke it Quabbalistically all at once in its total complex but divide it into its letters. Depending on the key that he wants to work with, that is, either with a single, twofold, threefold or fourfold key, the Quabbalist will proceed as described by me when dealing with the elemental formulas. He will transfer part of the name, with either one letter or with two letters, into the Akasa principle and the rest of the letters into the mental, astral and material kingdom, which means that he is able to transfer, qualitatively or quantitatively, 1, 2 or 3 letters if the name into each plane depending on the intended Quabbalistic use of the quality or quantity of the name chosen. With this key in hand, the Quabbalist is thus capable of dividing the name by letters, qualitatively as well as quantitatively, and to use it Quabbalistically. Considering this, one will realize that the sphere of power of each being of whatever plane is analogous to its name. The description of the name of a being and its transfer into the desired plane, the mental, astral or material world, and the application of the individual letters of the being's name is called the genuine Quabbalistic use of divine names. The difference between a magician and a Quabbalist is that the magician works with the total complex of powers and mights, that is, quantitatively as well as qualitatively, of the whole being, whilst the Quabbalist analyzes the name of a being and uses it by means of the various keys, qualitatively as well as quantitatively, in the akasa, the mental, astral or material plane. By doing this, he attains for his own use the same powers equals quantitatively, abilities, virtues, qualities, etc., equals qualitatively, without having to get into any contact with the total complex, that is, the formed being. This fundamental rule differentiates magic from QUABBALAH, for the magician calls forth the desired being, or somehow transfers himself into its sphere, or tries to get into contact with the being in some passive manner in order to bring about the desired powers or effects, whereas the Quabbalist uses the names of beings as key words and appropriates to himself, by the help of QUABBALAH, what the total complex of the invoked being is able to bring about and thus, also causes the same effects. This goes to show that magic is indeed easier, but that one depends on the total complex of the being. The Quabbalist, on the other hand, is able to bring about by himself anything that a being may achieve if he makes Quabbalistic use of the being's name as the key word or formula. An initiate must, at any rate, be able to master both and will usually employ a being only in case he cannot deal with the matter himself because of lack of time and therefore entrusts a being with the job. If Quabbalist wants to make the abilities or powers of a being his own, he will use the being's name as a formula. I refrain from mentioning in this book once again the beings of the 10 spheres of our universe. The Quabbalist who wants to appropriate to himself the powers and the mights of each spiritual being in a quantitative and qualitative manners, will find the exact procedure in my second book, The Practice of Magical Evocation, in which I dealt with the names of the principles, genii, etc., of the individual spheres together with their spheres of operation. If, therefore, the Quabbalist wants to make any ability of a principle his own, he must apply the name of that principle in a Quabbalistic manner, that is, according to the fourfold key, the key to realization, the mental, astral or material plane. A little exception, which I did not mention in my second work, is made by the Skhamhamphoras, the 72 genii of Mercury, who have a certain connection to the spiritual body. The Skhamhamphoras also contains the mystery of the name of God composed of 72 letters by which, according to Hebrew QUABBALAH, the longest name of God is identified as the highest mode of expression of the deity. By the name of the 72 genii of the Mercury zone, the qualities of these genii are expressed, but not their quantities, that is, the power substance which effects realization in the material plane. The quantities of the 72 genii are given expression by the fourfold key and are manifested in the names of deities consisting of 4 letters. The quantitative form or combination of letters always indicates the superior divine name of the respective genius. Many writings dealing with the 72 genii or the Skhamhamphoras do indicate the superior name of God, divine name, but its true meaning or key is not revealed. I therefore specify the quantity keys, that is, the keys to the substances of power which are represented by the divine names of the 72 genii of the Mercury zone, one by one. The first genius, Vayuaya, has the power key name of JHVH. The genius name of Vayuaya thus gives expression to the qualitative form. The quantity key or key to the substance of power, on the other hand, is expressed by the fourfold key, the Jidhi-Vorhi. In the following list I specify, one after the other, all 72 genii with their first name as quality keys, and in the next column their divine names as quantity key, key to power substance. Note: according to Paul M. Bardon used the 72 names of God depicted in a drawing in Athanasius Kircher's Oedipus Aegyptiacus, 1652, to provide the quantity, power, keys for the 72 genii of the Mercury zone in is the practice of magical evocation. The quality keys, names, of the Mercury spirits are encoded in the Bible, Exodus 14, 1921, quality key quantity key / notes, classic spelling, tarot card, Aries, 1 Vyajidhi Vorhi, Vahavaya, 5 wands, 2 Jali Lady, Yalail, 5 W, 3 Sitel Siha, Satel, 6W, 4 Elamaya Olmaya, 6W, 5 Mahazayatoth, 7W, 6 Lelalabt, 7W, Taurus, 7 Uakai Dodo, Akaiah, 8 Pent, 8 Kaatelmut, Gahethel, 8P, 9 Azilagzi, Hazael, 9P, 10 Eladiasipi, Aldaya, 9P, 11 Lorvia Deus, Lavia, 10P, 12 Hahazeus, Gihaya, 10P, Gemini, 13 Jazael-Bug, Yazael, 2 swords, 14 Mebail-Dios, 2 swords, 15 Harialadio, Harel, 3 SW, 16 Hakamiah Hokmaya, 3 SW, 17 Lanoia Goth, Lavia, 4 SW, 18 Kalielbug, Cleel, 4 SW, Cancer, 19 Luvia Bogi, Laivoya, 5 Cups, 20 Pahalatios, Pihilia, 5C, 21 Nelakil Bueg, Nelaki Il, 6C, 22 Jael Good, Yael, 6C, 23 Melaildaya, Melchil, 7C, 24 Hohuia Azar, Jahavia, 7C, Leo, 25 Nithia Ossi, Nther, 8 Wands, 26 Haia Agdi, Haia, 8W, 27 Gerathultos, Yurthiel, 9W, 28 Saadad, Seaya, 9W, 29 Real Zimi, Real, 10W, 30 Omaltusa, Avamal, 10W, Virgo, 31 Lekabaldali, 2 Pentacles, 32 Vazariah Anot, Veshariah, 2P, 33 Jehuiah Agad, Yekiva, 3P, 34 Lahia Anab, Lahachaya, 3P, 35 Kavakaya Anab, Kevikaya, 4P, 36 Manadelala, Mendiel, 4P, Libra, 37 Anulapte, 5 Swords, 38 Hamaya Agla, Kamaya, 5 SW, 39 Rehail Gut, Rehail, 6 SW, 48 Yezelgod, Yeeziel, 6 SW, 41 Hahail Gudi, Vahil, 7 SW, 42 Mikhail Bayad, Michael, 7 SW, Scorpio, 43 Vubaya Solu, Vavalaya, 8 Cups, 44 Eliaboza, Yelaya, 8C, 45 C Eliahoba, Salaya, 9C, 46 Serialpa, Oral, 9C, 47 Asalakana, Oslaya, 10C, 48 Mahil Zaka, Mai, 10C, Sagittarius, 49 Vuel Mora, Vul, 2 Wands, 50 Daniel Polar, Daniel, 2W, 51 Hahaziah Bila, Hekhaziah, 3W, 52 Imamaya Abag, Omamaya, 3 SW, 53 Nanalabra, 4 Wands, 54 Nitalbora, Nthl, 4W, Capricorn, 55 Mebaya Alai, Mebaya, 5 Pent, 56 Poilili, Plural, 5P, 57 Nemamaya Popa, 6P, 58 Jael Para, Yael, 6P, 59 Harel Ella, Hochil, 7P, 60 Mizral Jaina, Mitzral, 7P, Aquarius, 61 Amabel Sela, Vemibiel, 8SW, 62 Jahalsuna, Yehoel, 8SW, 63 Amia Newell Miri, Anaval, 9SW, 64 Maileli, Mokael, 9SW, 65 Damabatara, Dambaya, 10SW, 66 Manikalpura, Menkel, 10SW, Pisces, 67 Ielbogo, Aol, 2 Cups, 68 Habuidios, Chabua, 2C, 69 Rochildios, Rahael, 3C, 70 Jabamiaris, Yabamaya, 3C, 71 Haelzut, Hiael, 4C, 72 Mumaya Kalo, Mevmaya, 4C, Inner Magic Evocation, the spiritual being, genius, principle, etc., as a total complex, is called forth in the way described in my book on magical evocation. In the Quabbalistic application, however, the last 2 letters of the names, that is, with L or R, are omitted. By means of these 2 letters added to the names, the specification of divine qualities is given better expression. From the Quabbalistic point of view, the first genius thus should not be called Vua but merely Vui, the second genius not Jalil but only Jali, the third genius Sita instead of Sitel, and do forth. The psalms that are to be regarded as evocations of the respective genius, according to many books, are not to be valued as quabbalistical but as mantramistic formulas of invocation, prayer, meditation. The other spiritual beings from the zone girdling the earth up to the sphere of Saturn, bear their quantitative as well as their qualitative characteristics in the individual letters of their names. Therefore I did not give any detailed explanation thereof in my second book, The Practice of Magical Evocation, and I may now refrain from specifying the other spheres in this book. Again, the number of letters of a being's name that are to be transferred into the Akasa principle, the mental, astral or material world, depends on the wish for realization, which is entirely up to the Quabbalist's choice. The explanation of the third tarot card is the revelation of the keys, but not the specification of an individual method. The Quabbalist who has also gone through my second book in practice will be in the position to apply the Quabbalistic keys in a versatile manner. He is able to analyze, Quabbalistically, all divine names, names of angels, etc., letter by letter, and to apply the formulas at will with regard to the four Quabbalistic keys. He is thus given a great field of operation and his studies will be inexhaustible in this respect. In this step, the 11th, which I now finished describing, I have shown the Quabbalist how he may apply, in practice, the cosmic language with regard to the divine names, names of angels, names of genii and principles, etc.